Hey everyone, welcome to the Good News Podcast. Today we have a friend who I've known in the community for years. This is Beth Chisholm, and Beth had been doing youth ministry for some time and certainly was connected to the community. Recently, Beth has been taken on the role of coaching and doing life coaching, and just really unique perspective that she brings. You're going to hear all about that in our conversation today. Beth talks about things like limiting beliefs and helping people overcome trauma. But what I love is Beth is very overarching. She's looking at not only the mental and emotional, but also the physical and something she calls energy psychology. And cool how she brings all of those pieces together in the work that she's doing. Very interesting to me. And there's just I think a spiritual piece because God cares about our whole being. And certainly Beth has that vision as part of what she's doing in her counseling. Love that part of Beth's story is she went from one of the most important jobs in the world, and that's being a mother, thinking that was beyond being a mother, that she was limited once she was done raising her kids, and God helped her break through that. And she's building this beautiful business that's really helping people. I kind of celebrate that on Mother's Day, celebrate the empowerment of women, and just want to kind of zero in on that and give you a heads up on that and really celebrate that. So friends, great conversation coming up. Glad you can join us for it. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome. So glad to have you part of this Good News Podcast conversation today. We have a friend who I've known in the community for a number of years, and who reached out to me because of some amazing things that she's doing recently. This is Beth Chisholm, and Beth is a coach, as you heard in the introduction. Beth, let's jump right in. Really love some of the grounding of why you're doing what you're doing, and you name in your communicating what your coaching is about some really significant words: being, belonging, believing, becoming. I'd love to just hear how that translates into the work that you're doing, and why those words and those ideas are so important for people.
These are all loosely based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And these are all really important words to who we are as human beings. Who do you be? How do you show up in the world? Where do you belong? What's your community? What's your church? What's your work? What's your family or your relationships? Becoming. We always need to be becoming and learning, or we start to die. But who are you becoming? How are you changing? What are you learning in every day? It's really cool. So we apply those concepts in my coaching work to help people realize who they are and their full potential, as opposed to, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'll never achieve this. Then we take back the curtains and the limiting beliefs there and help them really achieve things.
You mentioned the term limiting beliefs, which I think is a very relevant word for every human being, right? Because we have these doubts and we have these false things that we tell ourselves sometimes. Love to hear a bit more about limiting beliefs and just how you help people overcome those, and just how the impact of even talking about those with people and to kind of wrestling those down a little bit.
Oh, for sure. I call myself an anxiety manager who specializes in energy psychology. And how do we get rid of those limiting beliefs? When I first took up life coaching, I was a little frustrated because you and I can talk about your limiting belief, but how do you actually move past it? How do I convince you that, oh no, you don't have to believe that. You can get this job. You can achieve this. You're better than you think you are. My talking is not going to change that, because you not only believe it here, you believe it in your subconscious and you believe it in your body. So those limiting beliefs, traumas, fears, everything are held in the body. So we need something that's going to combine all of that. 4 years ago, I discovered EFT, or tapping. And what that does is that combines the talk piece, which is the Western philosophy of therapy, with the Eastern philosophy of Chinese meridians. So we combine them together and we talk to your subconscious to remove those limiting beliefs. So there's actually a way to change how it is that you feel about yourself and how it is that you show up in the world. It's fascinating.
I wonder if getting a little more concrete even with limiting beliefs. And we didn't talk about this before, so it was okay to ask, but would you be able to share any of your own limiting beliefs and how, moving past that has helped you, survive, live, thrive I know for me, when I think about limiting beliefs, when it comes to mind as you're talking, is I've always been afraid of technology, and so that when something goes wrong, like I have panic like almost immediately. Usually, if I'm anywhere around home, I'll yell my wife's name, Katrina, and with the word help, But
Yes.
but anyway, as I've tried to work through this a little bit and change my mindset and thinking, okay, no, don't need to panic. You can, you are not bad at technology. You just need a little patience and a little time and get some help. And, anyway, so that's been one that I've been trying to work on for, for a number of years. But just curious for you, what are some limiting beliefs, say, that you've been able to work through?
We should tap on that, Jamie. One of the things that I didn't believe was that I could build a thriving business. For most of my life, I was a stay-at-home mom. I loved my job. It was the only job I ever wanted, but I worked myself out of a job. My kids are now adults.
That's great.
You're
You're too successful.
Right? I have
That's
mature,
right.
successful, self-sufficient adults.
Yeah.
They don't need me like they did before. So who was I going to be?
Yeah.
And had somebody said to me 4 years ago, you'll be building a business, I said, no. I can't do that. I don't have the education. I don't have the skill sets.
Cool.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Well, as I began to change how I approached that and how I felt about me and addressing the inner child in me who was afraid, you can't do that. You don't have all of these things. And just giving her what she needed and tapping to change that belief, amazing things have happened. And then trusting that the Lord is going to open the doors
Sure.
where I need to go. And it's been phenomenal.
That's cool. That's cool. And as coming out of a very important role of being a mom, which is great, but then moving past those limiting beliefs to build a business, great thing to celebrate. This episode is being released on Mother's Day, so kind of celebrate that too.
Yes.
I love that sort of
sure.
worked in here. Yeah.
And my husband is a very successful businessman. So in my world, that was his role, not mine.
Yeah.
I don't belong in that role until, I work through those beliefs. And now suddenly I belong in that.
That's really cool. So who knows? Somebody might be listening to this today, and that might be what they catch from this. That hey, I was limiting myself in what I could do as a person, as a woman, as a man, whatever, and I can move beyond that. And
For sure.
What a great example here for you doing that. That's cool. So cool. Beth, you mentioned energy psychology, and I think probably most of us would really know what that means. So yeah, I'd love to hear a bit about what that looks like and how you work with that.
We are energetic beings. Our bodies are filled with energy that's constantly moving. And when something happens, it gets stuck, like a trauma or an accident or something that happens. It's stuck in our subconscious. It's stuck in our bodies because our bodies hold our experiences. So Jamie, when you're scared about something, where do you feel it? What happens?
Right here, chest, yeah.
Right here in your solar plexus in your chest. What do you do about that? Well, you just get past the fear and hope it goes away. With energy psychology, specifically using tapping on the Chinese endpoints of the meridians, we can release that fear from your body because you can get to the place where you've stuffed so much into your body. And that's where I got to. I had stuffed down a traumatic childhood, a shooting that I witnessed, those things that were stuck in my body until I couldn't get them out anymore. There was no more room for new stuff, and I didn't know how to get it out until I discovered energy psychology combining Western talk with Eastern touch, and it allowed me to be free and to be able to move past those things. So they no longer drag me around. The shooting that I witnessed was from behind I was outside a closed door. The door opened. I couldn't open closed doors if I didn't know who was there because that was my belief. And just thinking about opening a door when I couldn't see who was behind there sent my whole stomach into like, no, I can't do that. My stomach no longer curdles. I'm no longer afraid of opening a door. It's truly freeing and transforming.
Yeah. Wow. Beth, as you're talking, there's clearly this combination between the mental and the physical, emotional as well, tied in there, I think. And just definitely seeing that more and more for whatever reason, whether there's a great awareness or, we're always learning and growing, even in our medical field, psychology field, and that's good. What's your sense, and what are you learning about the way that the mind and the body are really so connected?
The biggest thing I learned is they're not two separate things. That what happens, so a thought becomes an emotion and an emotion becomes a sensation in the body. It's all a continual loop. And to try to address one piece at a time doesn't solve anything. So if you've experienced a trauma like I did, you can take drugs, which is the chemical portion, the physical of what's happening, but that doesn't address the psychological or the emotional part. How do we combine all three of those? Because unless we look at the person as a whole, you aren't going to really make any progress. So talk therapy looks at one little part. You and I talk. And after the shooting happened, I did 3 years of talk therapy and I had lots of great information and a safe place to cry, but I still couldn't open those doors. I still couldn't do that until I discovered tapping and dealing with my whole self.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you got to where you are today partly by bringing those two together.
Absolutely.
Makes sense that this is what you're now been led to do to help others with, and you use both of those, all of that together in your counseling, your coaching.
Oh, for sure. And because I have experienced such freedom and new life, I can say to others, yeah, it's possible.
Right on.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish that.
Yeah.
It for sure is hard work. But if you get to where I am at this end, it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Maybe it would be helpful to delve a bit into how hard it can be. Because I hear what you're saying. Like sometimes we can just so quickly move to the success. I'd love to hear some success stories as well, some impact stories. But maybe before we go there, what the trauma, not specifics of individuals in particular, but the trauma that you see and hear, like how does trauma hold people back from being healthy, from being fully alive? And what are some of the challenges in helping people move through their traumatic experiences?
Almost everyone has trauma to some degree. And the definition of trauma is how you interpret it. So you and I could be in the same car accident and you might walk away and be fine. And I'm never getting in a blue car again because it was a blue car. I can't go past that intersection. How is it that you can and I can't because of how we interpret it? And so trauma affects us all in so many different ways, but we all have it. And how do we move past it? I don't remember the rest of your question. Where else did you go, Jamie?
No, just kind of like some of the challenges of having people who have experienced trauma, because I think that's part of your coaching is really helping people who have experienced traumatic experiences. So just to really curious about the depth of pain that I think sometimes we gloss over a little bit. I think people could even be hearing this today and think, "Oh, coaching, it brings the body and mind, and isn't that great?" But just don't want to slide past the depth of pain and the reality of trauma, and the challenges for people in dealing with that. Like even naming that sometimes. And so just really curious on how you help people go there. I think most of us try to avoid that. No, I'm fine, or I don't that, or So how do you help people enter into the pain of their past and really explore the impact of the trauma that they've had?
Most people use the stuff and blow technique. Something happens, you stuff it down until a little thing happens and suddenly you're exploding in a way that isn't proportional to what just happened, but it has nothing to do with what just happened. It's all of the stuff you've been stuffing down and suddenly you couldn't stuff it anymore. So what I do is I hold a safe space for people to be able to explore those hidden things that they've never told anybody else or they never admitted to themselves. I've had so many clients say to me, I've never said that out loud before. I've never even looked at that. Wow, I haven't thought of that in years. But that thing that they haven't thought about is what's driving their behavior in the current day. So I give them a safe place to be able to explore and heal. It's emotional work. It's hard work. It's tiring work. But at the end of it, at the end of every session, people walk away going, "Oh, I'm tired, but I feel better. I no longer believe," insert emotion here. It's incredible to see.
I love the vision of creating a safe place for people. What does that look like? Like how do you create a safe place for people?
Confidentiality is a really big part of what I do, that they know that I'm not going to be repeating whatever it is that they're processing. Plus, we start tapping right away. When I work with people, we start off often going through something. So, hey, tell me what you're doing, but start tapping so that they can begin to relax their nervous system. Because when you tap, it sends a message to your amygdala, the part of your brain that is the response part. It tells it you're safe, that it's okay to process whatever it is that you want to process today. So through tapping, through safe space, through verbalizing, most people want to talk about what happened. So we give them a place to verbalize whatever it is that they want to talk about. So all of those components, and then being confident. I've done enough of the work and I've healed enough. That's the really important part. I've done my own work and I continue to do my own work. I have practitioners like me that I work with so that I can process stuff. Because I'm no good to you, Jamie, if I'm in a session and suddenly I'm like, it was a blue car. I was in a blue car. I'm no good to you if I haven't done my work. So I've done my work with my practitioners. So you don't have to worry about what you say to me. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get triggered. So I can hold that space safe for you.
Awesome. Love it. Part of what you do, Beth, I think is probably asking good questions, right? Yeah, exactly. So personally, this is an area that I'm really trying to grow in and be more intentional. I tend to be a talker, so I can easily walk in a room and talk. My apologies to everybody listening to who I've done that to many times, but really trying to be more intentional about asking good questions as a leader, as a husband, as a father, like just really as a friend, like just trying to be more intentional on asking good questions. What advice would you give to us as someone who, as part of your practice, what makes you good at what you do is the ability to ask questions and ask good questions. Any advice that you give to us, average people, or who people are trying to grow and learn how to ask better questions, or even ask questions at all?
Replace why with what. When you say, why did you do that? That's a judgment question. And I cemented that in my brain with hearing my mother's voice going, why'd you do that? But if you replace
you did that really well.
Thank you. I hear it a lot.
That's funny.
I replaced it with what? What made you do that? What made you decide that? That opens the field up for conversation and not judgment. It gives people the room to be able to explore, well, here's what drove me to do that. Here's what my decision-making was. Here's what the factors were that went into that. Start with what, not why.
Just listen.
And just listen, because people need a place to be able to share and to explore. Just listen.
Well, and that seems to me that's part of the safe space that you create as well. Just letting people talk without interruption, without judgment.
Yeah, for sure. And they bring to the table what it is that they want to explore. So it's very different than counseling. I don't do counseling. I do tapping and energy psychology. So when they come to the sessions, they have something in mind that they want to release or look at or work on. They decide, not me. And when we do our work, I feed back to them what it is that they've told me. So it makes them feel heard. They feel deeply heard and seen because I'm repeating back that blue car, the driver cut me off. And it's just what the story that you've told me and then I'm giving back to you. You're empowered. And when I teach you how to tap, you can do it anywhere, anytime. I've been sitting here rubbing this one spot because I'm a little nervous to be on a podcast, right? Just a little bit. And this sends calming signals to my amygdala. Wow. So what I teach people, not only is in our sessions, they can take it into everyday life. You can be in a business meeting doing this and nobody knows. And you're calmer than you've ever been.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And beautiful to give people the gift of being heard. Like that's a really special thing. When you've been heard, you feel valued. And talk about your, those B words that we're talking about, belonging and being, and that's awesome. You mentioned about just following your client's lead and really, listening for their agenda and following them. Just thinking about the role of the Holy Spirit in the work that you do. I know you're person of faith, Beth, and so how is the Holy Spirit present, involved, a part of your experience as you lead people or walk with people, I guess, because they're leading you in some ways through these coaching experiences?
I go to all of my sessions at the beginning saying, Lord, show me what it is that I need to know. I'm not clever. I'm not brilliant. I'm not any of those things, but you are. So reveal to me in the session or before what it is that I need to ask this person, how I need to show up for this person. Maybe I need to be exuberant and exciting. Maybe I just need to be a calm, steady present. Lord, I just want you to show me what it is that I need to know. And it's amazing. There'll be a hit of just, it comes into my mind and I'm like, does this mean anything to you? And quite often, 90% of the time, I get back, yeah, that does resonate with me. So it's about letting him work through me. I don't do it. I'm not the amazing one. He is. So it's through me, not by me. All of my work.
Even how you enter in, it sounds like praying like that and opening yourself up before you begin.
For sure. Absolutely.
How does your being a person of faith, a follower of Jesus, how does that impact not only like how you conduct your sessions and treat people, but how you run your business and even some of the bigger pieces? Yeah, how does that impact you?
To always run it with him in mind and with ethics and with doing the right thing and not cutting corners and not taking the easy, cheap way. I want to be a really good representative of him on earth. I don't want people to ever go, he's okay, except in this one area. It has to be the total package because everybody sees everything. Nothing's a secret, especially with social media. Nothing's a secret. Everything is out there. So if you're not living to the best of your ability, representing him really, really well, somebody's going to call you out on it and somebody will notice. You never want that. No.
Wow. Well, thank you, Beth. Just really appreciate the way you're helping people and growing a business and love that you're doing this today. Just curious on how you got here, actually. And I know you mentioned earlier, your own tragedy, trauma, 10 years ago or so. And just not to get into too much details or that, or as you're comfortable for sure, but how did that impact this story, this journey, you getting to where you are today, and how the understanding, the compassion that you have for your clients?
10 years ago, I did witness that homicide. I was running a breakfast program for that principal when she was killed. And I loved my breakfast program. We worked with the kids in the community. It was phenomenal. And then suddenly my world got upended and I was desperate for help. People said the stupidest things, Jamie. Oh my gosh. I couldn't believe the dumb things people said, like, just concentrate on the good. I can't, I'm drowning. And I tried everything. So that gave me an awareness of what not to say to people. What's not helpful in the moment when somebody is drowning or has suffered a terrible tragedy. Again, shut up and listen. I'm so sorry is really all you need to say, and then listen. So I was desperate for relief. I was such a mess. Getting out of bed most days was really hard work, and I tried everything. Acupuncture, therapy, except chemicals. I didn't do drugs because I knew my body wouldn't like them. How do I get past this? And I just, Lord, you need to show me which way to go. And it wasn't for 7 years until an offhanded comment, somebody in a coaching course said, we've discovered tapping and it really has helped our anxiety. And I was a mess and I'm like, tell me more. And as I explored it, I realized there's something very powerful here that I need to bring to others. My favorite gift to give to my clients and to anyone that I meet is the gift of hope. The hope that you do not have to stay the way that you are. The hope that there's something that's simple and effective, cost effective. You don't have to spend a year with me. You can spend 5 or 6 sessions and notice huge changes. And it's empowering. You can do what I do anywhere, anytime. So there's a lot of parts to it that I'm really excited about.
I can feel the hope coming from you as you name that desire for your clients. Any stories that you can share as far as where you've seen people move out of the depths of pain and trauma to hope, to being hopeful for life transformation?
I have one. 3 years ago, he had a complete mental breakdown. He couldn't get out of bed. He had to stop working. He was a mess. And he didn't believe that tapping would work for him. He's like, this will work for everybody else. It isn't going to work for me, the limiting belief. So I challenged him. We worked through the limiting belief, and suddenly he's like, oh, that doesn't feel true anymore. I don't think it's true. It won't work for me. So we began to work together, and it was a lot of work because he had a lot of childhood trauma and a lot of current stuff. And within a year and a half, he was a totally transformed guy. And it took that long because it wasn't regular work. And it was also a ton of childhood trauma that we needed to work through. And now he's becoming his EFT professional.
No.
Wow. And wants to give other people the gift of hope and healing that he experienced.
Incredible.
Because he can say to people, this isn't just a theoretical thing for me. I was the one in bed. I couldn't get up anymore. I couldn't function. And now I can. And now I'm whole is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about coming full circle. Yeah.
Absolutely full circle. He might be related to me. So that's the exciting part. I believe that the Lord has given me all of this information and these tools and training so I can help those that I love the most. They've also become my guinea pigs. My daughter, will you try this with me? And she's like, sure, Mom. And if it works there and she gives me really good feedback, I know I can take it out into the clients.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Beth, thanks so much for being a part of the Good News Podcast today. Yeah, I'd love to close with the Good News Podcast rapid fire if we could.
I took notes because you warned me about this.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
Absolutely. Okay, so best thing going on in your home, in your family these days?
My 2-year-old grandson.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Being a grandma is one of the best jobs I've ever had. It's even better than being a mom. It's so exciting.
Oh, sweet. Best thing going on in your neighborhood, your community?
Seeing it come back to life after COVID. When COVID shut us all down and we're all afraid in our houses, seeing people emerging and seeing things come back to life.
Totally. Yeah.
For
and
sure.
Best thing going on in the world?
I think people not being afraid to say, I'm struggling. The gift that COVID gave us, and there aren't that many, but the gift that COVID gave is for people to have a little more courage to say, I'm having an issue. My mental health isn't good. Unfortunately, there's not enough resources. That's a different conversation. But for people to have the courage to say, I'm drowning and I need help. That's become less stigmatized than it was pre-COVID. And that's pretty exciting to me for people to be able to reach out and say, hey, could you please help me?
Right on. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Beth. Love to say a prayer for you before we close.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Let's pray. Yeah, loving God, thank you for the way that you work in our lives. That's just hear loud and clear the way that you have worked through some of Beth's own challenges and trauma to lead her to do what she's doing these days, the way that she is blessing her clients, people who she cares for, and people who she's helping. And may you continue to bless the work that you've called her to do. Help us all as we have listened in today, as we watched this episode, to be able to call on you for help when we need, and reach out to others as well, and be as best we can a friend and a blessing to those who may be struggling in their own ways as well. So thanks for this time, for your presence in our life, and certainly in Beth's life, and the beautiful work that you've called her to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jamie, for this opportunity.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
This was awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Good News Podcast. Always good to be with you. Appreciate you, and thanks for being a part of this Good News Podcast family. God bless you, and hope to see you again real soon. Well, I told you that Beth had a very interesting perspective, and just again love how she brings the whole together, clearly enjoying what she's doing, and really believing the ability that God has given her to help people. I mean, she's talking about stuff that a lot of people need support on and aren't sure where to go, and that's around trauma and experiences of the past, and helping people enter into their pain and come out the other side. And so just would encourage you, if you are hearing this and you need help, or you know someone needs help, reach out. Beth would be a great resource for you. Her business is called Kamiyah Counseling, KAMIYAH. And I love what that means is come find one in a million. And that's that's what she's going to do, that help you be one in a million, that kind of unique perspective. And I think you'll be blessed. So friends, thanks so much for being part of the conversation today. God bless you and be with you, whatever you got going on. Appreciate this life we get to share, and always great for you being a part of the Good News Podcast conversations. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Good News with Jamie Holtom. And if you subscribe to our podcast, that'll make sure that you know every time an episode is released. And so please join us, follow us, connect with us, and always grateful for you, my friend. Thanks so much. God bless you and be with you. Hope to see you again real soon.